On October 28, 2025, Hurricane Melissa slammed into Jamaica as one of the most powerful Atlantic storms ever recorded, a catastrophic Category 5 with winds of 185 miles per hour. The town of Black River in St. Elizabeth took a direct hit. Homes were flattened, lives were shattered. At least 32 Jamaicans lost their lives, with that number expected to rise. And then, the conspiracy theories started. Some claimed the Jamaican government used this tragedy to push a hidden smart city agenda in Black River. That the storm was somehow convenient. That plans were suspiciously ready. That this was all part of a grand scheme. Today, we're setting the record straight. Because when real people are suffering, truth matters more than ever. Let's debunk this conspiracy with facts. Let's start with what conspiracy theorists call their smoking gun, the timing. They say, the third city was announced in July, the hurricane hit in October, and rebuild plans came suspiciously fast. Too convenient, but here's what actually happened. On July 26, 2025, more than 3 months before Hurricane Melissa, Prime Minister Andrew Holness made a very public announcement at the opening of a KFC restaurant in Black River. Yes, a KFC opening, not some secret meeting. He announced that St. Elizabeth would become Jamaica's third city, following years of discussion about balanced national development. This wasn't hidden. It was broadcast on national television, reported by the Jamaica Observer, covered by multiple news outlets. The government's reasoning? Black River had historical significance. It was once one of the most prosperous towns in Jamaica, the first to get electricity in the early 1900s. The plan was to revitalize the South Coast, which had been economically neglected compared to Kingston and Montego Bay. Here's something crucial. Prime Minister Holness never announced a smart city for Black River. Read the official government statement. Read the news reports. What was announced was sustainable urban development, better roads, improved water supply, upgraded hospitals and schools, digital infrastructure. Standard city planning, not dystopian surveillance. When journalists asked about the vision, officials talked about preserving Black River's heritage buildings, developing ecotourism around the famous crocodile-filled river, creating agricultural hubs in the breadbasket, and building climate-resilient infrastructure. That last part, climate resilience, turned out to be tragically needed just months later. So, no secret meetings, no surveillance state, no hidden agenda. Just a publicly announced urban development plan that made national news 3 months before the hurricane. Now let's talk about Hurricane Melissa itself. Because this is where the conspiracy theory completely falls apart. Hurricane Melissa wasn't just any storm. It was the second strongest Atlantic hurricane ever recorded since records began in 1851, tied with just 4 other storms in history. The World Meteorological Organization called it catastrophic. The National Hurricane Center warned of life-threatening flooding and landslides. Meteorologists watched in real time as it underwent rapid intensification, a well-documented weather phenomenon. Melissa dumped up to 40 inches of rain in some areas. It generated a storm surge of up to 16 feet in Black River. 4 major hospitals were severely damaged. Over 490,000 customers lost power, 72% of the island. The devastation stretched across Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba, and the Bahamas. At least 49 people lost their lives across the Caribbean. This was a regional catastrophe. So, let me ask a simple question. Does anyone seriously believe the Jamaican government can control the weather? Can they make hurricanes form at will? Can they direct Category 5 storms to hit specific coordinates? Of course not. That's ridiculous. And here's something conspiracy theorists ignore. Black River wasn't the only place hit. Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, parts of Haiti all devastated. If this was some grand plan to clear Black River for development, why would the government also destroy tourist areas in Montego Bay and Negril? Why devastate agricultural land across multiple parishes? Why damage their own hospitals and infrastructure? It makes zero sense. Conspiracy theorists also claim the government's response was suspiciously organized, as if having a disaster response plan is somehow sinister. Jamaica is in the Caribbean. It's in the hurricane belt. The country faces tropical storms and hurricanes almost every year. Having emergency plans isn't suspicious, it's basic governance. After Hurricane Melissa hit, here's what actually happened. On November 4, 1 week after the storm, Prime Minister Holness announced a building support program. Not a smart city, a support program for people who lost their homes. The plan allocated $10 million JMD to each constituency, in the hardest-hit parishes, for immediate relief. The National Housing Trust offered low-interest loans of up to $3.5 million JMD at 2% interest to help people rebuild their actual homes. Members of Parliament received emergency funds to distribute food and medicine. This isn't a hidden agenda. This is a government doing its job after a national disaster. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett focused on getting hotels repaired before the December peak season, because tourism employs 175,000 Jamaicans who need their jobs. Health Minister Christopher Tufton worked to set up field hospitals because 4 major hospitals were damaged. California deployed search and rescue teams. The Red Cross brought 64 tons of humanitarian aid. World Central Kitchen set up emergency kitchens. This is what disaster response looks like. It's coordinated because that's how you save lives. And speaking of coordination, some conspiracy posts show before and after photos of Black River, claiming the land was conveniently cleared for development. Yes, buildings were destroyed. Yes, the land looks different. But look closer at those images. That's not cleared land ready for development. That's rubble. That's flooded homes. That's people's belongings scattered across muddy streets. Residents aren't being relocated to make room for gleaming towers. They're homeless. They're in shelters. They're desperately trying to salvage what little they have left. The mayor of Black River, Richard Solomon, described conditions as catastrophic. He said the town's relief supplies were totally wiped out. Emergency vehicles were damaged by water. CNN crews found residents taking food from damaged supermarkets, not looting but trying to survive because supply chains were broken. One resident named Anyalipi told CNN, "I need shelter. I need food for my kids. I need clothes for my kids. Jamaica really needs your help." Does that sound like a community that's part of some grand development scheme? Or does it sound like people who've lost everything in a natural disaster? Here's why this conspiracy theory isn't just wrong, it's actively harmful. Real people are suffering. While conspiracy theorists post online about hidden agendas, families in Black River are sleeping in shelters, waiting days for clean water, and mourning loved ones who died in the storm. It discourages aid. When people believe disasters are government plots, they're less likely to donate to relief efforts. That hurts survivors who desperately need help. It spreads distrust. Jamaica is a democracy. The government was elected. If people disagree with development plans, they can vote, protest, or participate in public consultations, which the government explicitly promised for the Third City project. It ignores climate reality. Caribbean nations are on the front lines of climate change. Storms like Melissa are becoming more intense. Instead of addressing real climate threats, conspiracy theories distract from solutions. The real story of Black River is actually quite compelling, no conspiracy needed. Black River was once a thriving port town in the 18th and 19th centuries. It had the first electricity in Jamaica. The first cars. It was cosmopolitan and prosperous. But over the decades, as Jamaica's economy shifted, Black River was left behind. The South Coast became neglected. Kingston and Montego Bay got all the investment. The Third City Initiative wasn't some sinister plot. It was an attempt to address regional inequality to bring jobs and infrastructure to an area that needed it. And yes, that means change. New buildings. Better roads. Economic growth. Some heritage buildings that had already been destroyed by fires over the years would be replaced. Local residents had mixed feelings even before the hurricane. Some welcomed development, others worried about losing the town's quiet charm. That's normal. That's democracy. But then Hurricane Melissa hit. And suddenly, Black River faces an entirely different challenge: survival. Now the question isn't about smart cities or conspiracy theories. It's about how to help thousands of people rebuild their lives with dignity and resilience. The Jamaican government is focused on immediate relief: food, water, shelter, medical care. International partners are providing aid. Communities are coming together. That's the real story, not secret plots. Just people trying to survive and recover from one of the worst natural disasters in Caribbean history. So, let's recap what we've learned. 1. The Third City Plan was publicly announced 3 months before the hurricane, not hidden, not suspicious. 2. Hurricane Melissa was a historic natural disaster documented by meteorologists worldwide. No government can control Category 5 hurricanes. 3. The government's response followed standard disaster protocols, focusing on relief and reconstruction, not implementing some secret smart city. 4. The cleared land is actually devastation where real people lost their homes and loved ones. 5. These conspiracy theories harm survivors by distracting from real needs and discouraging aid. The truth is simpler and sadder than any conspiracy. A powerful hurricane destroyed communities. People died, survivors are struggling, recovery will take months or years. Jamaica doesn't need conspiracy theories. It needs support, resources, and the truth. If you want to help, donate to verified relief organizations like the Jamaica Red Cross, World Central Kitchen, or Convoy of Hope. Share accurate information. Amplify Jamaican voices telling their real stories. And the next time you see a conspiracy theory about a natural disaster, pause. Question it. Look for facts. Because when real people are suffering, spreading misinformation isn't just wrong. It's cruel. Hurricane Melissa was a tragedy, not a conspiracy. Support Jamaica's recovery with facts, not fiction. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you understand the truth, please share it. For those in Jamaica recovering from Hurricane Melissa, the world sees you, and we stand with you. Until next time, stay informed, stay compassionate, and stay curious.